Welcome, everybody, to our next class of living lessons from Tanya. We are in chapter 12, and just a little recap before we go on. In chapter 10 and 11, the Alter Rebbe, the author of the Tanya, was explaining that chapter 10 was about the righteous person. What is a righteous person? All of his thoughts, everything of his feeling, his consciousness, everything with his soul, everything is aligned with his actions. What do we call actions? Your thoughts, speech, and your actions. And therefore, no matter what he does, it's always a righteous thing because he's never thinking about doing anything against the will of God. A wicked person is that not everything that is going inside him is aligned with his actions. For example, he may think, let me eat something unkosher. Let me sleep through the class. And he actually does it. While at the same time, he may be thinking good thoughts. I should do a mitzvah. I should go to the class. But his actions aren't aligned. So he could do one or two things wrong, which takes him out of righteousness and puts him into a state of what we call wickedness. Yes, one sin, technically, you consider a wicked person a sinner because you have a sin. So what is the scoop with him? Is that inside there's a constant battle, and from time to time he allows himself, he chooses to do what's not right. Chapter 12 now goes into, okay, Rabbi, I sound like the second guy. There's a lot of good swimming inside me. I want to do a lot of good stuff. But on the other hand, I also have my own ego and I have my own things. I have my own desires. And I love the way my body feels when I eat certain things. And, I understand it's Shabbos, but I also, I love getting pictures of me being on a yacht to put up on an Instagram. So my Saturdays is not Shabbos so much. So his inside is constantly conflicted. And his actions does a lot of good things, but from time to time, something negative. And that's a rasha, that's the sin. What's a Baynonee? Somebody in between. What does that mean? So we explained last week, and this is what chapter 12 is. This is the aha of the Tanya. You can have a lot of inner struggles. The Baynonee, he'll never do the wrong thing. He'll always choose the right thing. In other words, should I go to services? Should I not go to services? Should I go to the class? Should I not go to the class? You know what? You're here. Same thing is when it comes to services on a Shabbos morning. Oh, I love sleeping in late. I'm going to sleep till 11, 11:30. Isn't that what Shabbos is all about? And then all of a sudden, you do not have your mitzvah of going to the synagogue and learning Torah, from hearing the reading of Torah and praying in the synagogue, etc. So each one of us can, and we have the ability, not to do the wrong thing. And I gave a few examples. Let's say you're driving down the street here in Los Angeles. You're going down Pico Boulevard. You're at La Brea, and you're going west. And you're saying, I'm hungry. And along the way, you see a McDonald's. You see a In-N-Out burger. And you say to yourself, I'm hungry. And then all of a sudden, it pops into your head, come on, buy kosher. Go to Jeff's Gourmet, go to Pat's. Go to some of the kosher places that is along Pico Boulevard. See, even though you're hungry, a Baynonee says, I'm going to make the right choice now. I'm going to go to the kosher store. That doesn't mean the next time you're going to do the right thing. But a Baynonee doesn't go and say, I have to make big changes. You know how many people on January 1st, they say, I'm going to make a New Year's resolution, I'm going to lose 40 pounds. No, it doesn't work. But if you go and say, this year I'm going to lose 3 pounds or 5 pounds, it's so much easier. And you feel good about it. A Baynonee is the same way. I don't go and think, I'm going totally kosher now. It's impossible. Because immediately you're going to say, totally kosher, and the thought flies out of your head. But if at this moment that you thought about a kosher restaurant and you're hungry and you say, I'll drive an extra mile to get to the kosher restaurant, even though the inner battle says, but McDonald's is right here. and you do go to the kosher, you're a Baynonee at that moment. And the greatest thing that the Alter Rebbe wants from you, after learning the whole Tanya, is that you should have Baynonee moments. And the more Baynonee moments you have, the stronger you'll get. Why? Because after a while, you start recognizing, I went to Pat's, I went to Jeff's. I'm just giving names of restaurants. I went to Lenny Casitas. I went to Nagila Pizza. I went to so many different places. You start realizing, kosher food's not so bad. So when the temptation is that when you're hungry, you're slowly making more choices. In other words, the animal soul inside you is screaming, just walk into McDonald's, get it over with. You're hungry, it's a drive-through. But because you make little tiny choices to hold off the animal soul, you weaken the animal soul. And you're able to go and make the right choices easier and easier. Almost in the same way as an alcoholic. An alcoholic has moments, I need a drink. So they don't go and say to you, just swear for the rest of your life you're never going to have a drink because it's too big of a burden. What do they say to you? Take this moment, live this moment, make the right choice. And 10 minutes from now, you'll have another urge. In 20 minutes, you'll have another. And if you keep on making the right choice, you make the Baynonee choice, eventually the desire goes away. And this way, those inner conflicts that you have inside you, the godly soul versus the animal soul, the Baynonee chooses to do more. As I explained last week, many of the people that come to my services on a Shabbos morning, they usually would be going to the movies, they would go shopping, they would go to the beach, they would go golfing. But someone said to them, come to the rabbi service, listen to the Torah entertainment, stay for the lunch, something, just come. So the first few weeks, it's hard for them to come because, my friend is expecting me to go with them for a round of golf. But then one week, you wake up and you say, okay, this is the week I'm doing it. And you take that Baynonee moment and you walk into services. And then you say, it was really good. I really enjoyed myself. When the next Saturday morning comes, you want to go to services. Those thoughts are there. But you always have the Saturday morning desires. And there's that inner battle. So what do? I enjoyed last week. I'm going to go again. And if you ask all the people that come to my Saturday morning services, they're not Shabbos observant Jews, meaning from Friday night until 25 hours later on Saturday night that they're totally observant of Shabbos. What they've chosen was, I need to create for myself Shabbos moments. And it turned into Shabbos hours. And it turned into not only Shabbos hours, but I also have a beautiful lunch that I don't have to go to. The deli that is open on a Saturday, and I can have my Shabbos lunch. And you start transforming a part of yourself. That instead of being a Saturday Jew, your Baynonee moments gives you the strength to become a Shabbos Jew. So the Alter Rebbe is begging you, please, I know it's hard for you because we love our bodies, we love our physicalness, we love this physical world. Godliness is a spiritual thing. It's hard to grasp onto and enjoy until you start doing it. Comes the Alter Rebbe and says, make the right choice right now. Be a Baynonee. Make a Baynonee moment. Because if you did the Baynonee moment now, you'll be able to go and do another Baynonee moment again. And this is what hundreds of years Hasidim, when they were singing at a Farbrengen and singing, they would say, L'chaim, you should marry off all your children, they should have shidduchim. L'chaim, you should have good parnosa, good livelihood. L'chaim, you should have good health. L'chaim, you should have shalom bayis, peace at the home. But Chabad Chassidim would go to each other. He says, but can you imagine, I give you a l'chaim to have a Baynonee moment. These are religious Jews. Every religious Jew, every one of us can be distracted from doing what is right. For example, I daven, I prayed in the morning, I put on my tefillin, I had my kosher breakfast, but I have this 9:30 class at 9 on Thursday mornings. So what do? I decide, you know what? I'm going to go play racquetball. Is there a sin in racquetball? No. But I can go after the class. So the animal soul is trying to get me away from the class. And what happens when you stop coming to the class? 1 week, 2 weeks, all of a sudden, out of sight, out of mind. But the person who fights that off and says, no, I need now a Baynonee moment. There's nothing wrong going to play racquetball. No one said that it's not kosher, it's not a sin. But this is my time to learn. The animal's trying to distract me. I need the Baynonee moment. The inner struggle to do the right thing between you and me is very difficult. Why? Why is it difficult? Because God created you and me to have the inner struggle. It's part of being human. And what does God want? Just like the world is a good world. And God gave us Torah and mitzvah to make the world out there into a better world, where God could reside and feel at home and make God feel Hamish. So too with me and inside you and me. You and I have to go and recognize, just like the macro is made very good, but there's so many beautiful temptations. It doesn't mean sinful temptations, but to take me away from my Shabbos, take me away from my learning. So too also inside me, my animal soul says, come on, there's temptation out there. Let's go to the beach. I know you have a Torah class. I know you have Shabbos. Who cares? You'll do it next week. Because the animal knows it can weaken you. So I have to fight hard. I have to fight hard because the animal is very strong in all of us. And he or she who says it's not, you're kidding yourself. So we all need Baynonee moments. We have to go and say, no, I am doing this. So I know you're all asking me, Rabbi, what is your struggle? I have a very big struggle. Somebody can go and say, Rabbi, can we study? I say, sure. So they could be sitting there and I could be sitting here and the Yankees are playing. Now I can easily take up my phone with the MLB app and watch a Yankee game. So I can be looking down while teaching you. It's not a distraction, but I'm not giving you all the attention and I'm dividing. You see, you can't do the animal and the godly at the same time. It doesn't work. So I have to go and say, no, I'll watch on replay later the entire game. Why? That's a Baynonee moment. As a young teenager, when I was like 15, 16, if the Yankees were in the World Series, I wonder what they're doing Friday night. So I remember as a kid, walking to shul, there was always a newspaper stand. So I would walk by, maybe had this sports section, I'd be able to see the score. Till eventually, as I got older, I started realizing it's taking away from my Shabbos. So I won't know the score until tonight. Those were my Baynonee moments. Each one of us has those desires that can just take us out of our realm of holiness. Doesn't mean it's a sinful thing. There are many things that are sinful things. For example, eating something that may not be kosher. Somebody wants to gossip to you about one of your best friends. Each one of these things are hard struggles. So the Alter Rebbe says right at the end on the top of page 83, if you want to be able to go and ask God for strength, you have to work on yourself. And this is the crux of today's class. Working on yourself. Now think about it. When did ever you go to your school? First grade, second grade, third grade, 8th grade, 12th grade, college. When did ever they say to you, David, Susan, you have to work on your character. Maybe your parents told it to you. But in school, Did they ever start saying you have to work on your character? Oh, no. Now's the time for class. And after class, you can do whatever you want, whatever your heart desires, whatever your pleasure is. And kids today, they go and do whatever pleasure they want. They want to be on Instagram, be on Instagram. They want to go and be boys and girls and smooch in the backyard. They go in the backyard. There's nothing wrong. We're kids. We're teenagers, they're told. We have hormones. And once the hormones kick in, things happen. Okay. I need an abortion. We have to legalize it. All of a sudden, it's all about my desires. When does it ever become that I can become better in my actions and in my choices? The whole thing of Judaism is refining yourself, purifying yourself, become holiness, become closer to God, and turn the atmosphere around you in your home and then your neighborhood, your country into a holy place. So the reality is we have a lot of inner struggles. Oh, I see this very, very handsome man. He's single. I'm attracted. I'm Jewish, not Jewish, whatever. Or a girl. Each one of us has inner struggles. Each one of us could be drawn. Many of us have a mouth that you say, that person, that's such a piece of... What happened to your mouth? And your thoughts? Oh, I'm going to get that person back. I'm going to get that person back. So all of a sudden your mind is not holy. The animal has it. Your mouth, you have a potty mouth because your animal controls it. Your actions. So when do you refine yourself? When do you make yourself better? How are you going to get the strength to say to yourself, I have to be better? In services a few weeks ago, I once said to the congregation that what's the difference between a Jew and a non-Jew? Both great human beings. We're not even going to question the validity of them both being great. But the Jewish person was chosen to be a light to the world. In other words, I have to act, not like them. I have to be a light to show them what's better. In other words, my family values should be a light for you to know what family values are. Comes Chassidus, the Alter Rebbe and Tanya, and said, that's all good to be a light to the world. But you, in Yiddish we say, du darf sein hecher. You have to be higher. You have to be something that the world, or forget about the world, that you yourself recognize that you're growing. Of course, the world will see it also. So when do you work on yourself? When do you start saying to yourself, how do I stop using these words? How do I stop thinking all day about getting revenge on that person? How do I stop thinking all day it's all about me and how I look? So this way I have all these muscles, I can get 1,000 likes on my Instagram. How do you turn yourself into a higher human being than you are right now? So the Alter Rebbe says, be a Baynonee, but where do you get the strength from? So the Alter Rebbe says you have to arouse the love of God in you. And this comes during prayers. Rabbi, prayers. I open up the book. It's boring. I know. Rabbi, it's truly boring. I'd rather be in a root canal appointment and have the pain of root canal versus sitting for 2 hours and go, I get it. So comes the Alter Rebbe in chapter 12 and gives you and I some options, what you can do. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Each one of you that are in this class, are watching, nobody has a great, perfect life. Some have financial issues, some have health issues, some have family issues. Everybody has their little package as we say in Yiddish, a little peklach of tzoros, of issues. But the reality is, when you start looking around and you start seeing what other people have, it's not so bad. So all of a sudden you start recognizing, by the way, I have a job. I have a roof over my head. You see, the other day, you can be driving down and all of a sudden you see all these homeless people. I may not have a lot of money. And then you start thinking about it. There's 8 billion people in the world. And God takes time to take care of me and makes sure that my house is good and I pay the rent or the mortgage and I'm able to have food. 8 billion people. They're fighting in Israel. And me, takes care of me too. And while he takes care of me too, the greatness of God is there are 1 billion of ants in a little ant hole somewhere. And they all found crumbs. And the ants are all bringing crumbs to the anthill that everybody are able to eat. And while they're all fattening up, in walks in an anteater. And they were now fed. God feeds everything and everybody. Wow. And as busy, if we can call God busy, as God is, he takes care of little old me. He loves me. Or better yet, shouldn't I love God more? Shouldn't I take stock from time to time and recognize how great God is to me personally? See, the moment you start recognizing the awesomeness of God and the relationship that you personally have with God, you start saying to yourself, you know what? Why can't I do something back for God? What's the big deal? I can have a Baynonee moment. I'll not go to the McDonald's and I'll go straight to the kosher place. You know, God did a big thing. I got 2 big deals this week. Out of nowhere, a friend came over to me and said, why don't you work with this person? Out of nowhere. And I worked with this person. And I got myself 2 beautiful deals. You know, I don't have to sleep in bed. I can go to services and thank God there. And maybe hear a good Torah speech. Baynonee moment. All because you love God. But the Alter Rebbe says, not only contemplating and taking a moment about your personal life, it's also good to pray at services to God. But they go together. For an example, you open up the Siddur and praise the Lord, praise the Lord. It's like, I don't know what's going on there. But just find 1 sentence, 2 sentences that talk to you. Then just close your eyes and meditate. Thank you, God. Praise God, what you've done for me. Even though the service may go for 3 hours, you found your 2 minutes. And don't worry, while you're trying to do those 2 minutes, your animal soul is going to be coming. What? Where's my attention? And it'll put crazy thoughts into your head. It's going to be a struggle. But you're going to tell the animal, shush, I want to thank God right now. So whenever a person takes moments and takes stock of their life and closes their eyes, or not, you doesn't have to close your eyes, it could be in your car, you're in traffic, and you just put your head like this and go, I got air conditioning in my car. I got air conditioning in my car. And you look over there, and that person may not have air conditioning. So you go and say, God, thank you for giving me air conditioning. Help that person. See, it was your relationship by talking to God. That's called davening, having conversations with God. But every day we need to have a minute or 2. I know a lot of people say like this, Rabbi, I thank God every day. Really? I ask them, I thank God. No, that's not what the Alter Rebbe is asking. The Alter Rebbe is asking, take literally a minute or 2, a full 120 seconds. It's not easy. But think about your life. Think about your health. Think about the children that you have. Think about the grandchildren. Think about that you're able to go and have air conditioning. Think about the person who may not be married, who is single. But look, I'm still being taken care of in every which way. Each one of us has the most beautiful thing in the world, to be able to have moments to thank God on a daily basis. And the more you love God, you eventually, I'm going and saying, what can I do for God? One time, I'm not going to go to McDonald's. It's worth it. It's worth it. So your Baynonee energy, your Baynonee powers, again, a Baynonee can't be righteous, perfect all the time. I'm more like a Russia, somebody who usually chooses the wrong thing. But at this moment, I want to do the right thing. Baynonee means in between. A Baynonee moment is, I'm not taking the drink. But the guy who's an alcoholic that doesn't take the drink does it out of fear and doesn't want to get sick. A Baynonee chooses their choice out of love and out of happiness. It's a big difference. Because I am a Jew, and I was created to be a light. And the only way that I could be a light is if I could shine. And the only way I could shine is if I get the animal blockage to keep away for a moment. And if I can choose right, then I could be a living example light for others also. So today's class is very simple. A Baynonee is always choosing to do the right thing. But as difficult as it is, always doing the right thing, comes the Alter Rebbe says, I know it's hard. But if every day you take a moment or two and you just meditate, I don't mean like this. You could be in the car like this, with your hand on the window, and just while you're sitting in traffic. Wow. I have air conditioning. Just thinking that you have air conditioning. Thank God. What else does God do for me? And if you take 60 to 120 seconds of that traffic, first of all, you take yourself out of the anger of traffic. But if anything, you're now in a great mood. And the happier you are, the easier it is to make the right choices. So create your Baynonee moments. Think about loving God. Think about how much God loves you. And most of all, if you do open up a prayer book, I know you got to say a whole bunch of pages, but find one line, 2 lines every day. I relate to that. And sometimes it may be the same line for months. It won't get boring. I promise you it won't. Why? Because it's your energy. It's like loving somebody. It doesn't get boring. In next week's class, that's exactly what I'm going to do. In next week's class, I'm going to show you how the 6 words, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, we say it all the time with our hands over our eyes. I'm going to show you how you can have the most holiest of meditations that'll go, wow! And if you contemplate on that, even if it's just Shema, which you can do twice a day, you'll become so much closer to choosing right over wrong. Your whole character will start being refined. Your mouth will start being refined. Your actions will be refined. And you will feel higher, holier. So you can be the ultimate light and the ultimate creation that God created for you to be. Wow. Chapter 12. Be a Baynonee. Just choose right now. That is hard. But you and I can do it. More about this next week. Have a great and blessed